more campaign gameplay has just dropped for Pharaoh Total War, and I'm going to simply be giving you my thoughts on what is looking good, what's looking amazing, and what needs improving. Right, so let's first start off with the user interface. I am seeing some improvement within this alpha build. I am definitely seeing more colorful UI. For example, when you select buildings or when you build a military barracks or something like that. But at the very same time, I do feel that they need to go for some brighter, more darker style colors. Like the colors, let's say, when you go in Assassin's Creed Origins. In that sense, I want the UI to be a bit more colorful. The UI needs to be more representative of more Egyptian culture, of representing Ra or etc. At least the user interface, in my opinion, should also have something where the unit cards look different. Unit cards look more as if they're from Troy, and obviously that was going to be a carryover, but let's make the unit cards more distinguishable. Let's have them more hand-drawn. Let's have them more unique, more different color styles, If there are different color styles, I think that would really fit. I think that would improve some areas. Or maybe, let's say you didn't go for that at all. At least make what you have right now a little bit more colorful. So if it is all blue for all Egyptian units, then maybe make that a different, more cyan, different color, so that it would at least bring out the units within that battlefield. And the other thing that I also wanted to say was, I really do want to see battle banners coming back onto the campaign map. Because if I have an army of Ramesses and he has 5 units versus the Canaanites that is around 2-3 units, it looks okay, but battle banners on the campaign map, I think, would just give the awe-imposing sense that there's this really huge army and it's going to go and attack there. So if there are battle banners, I really would want to see that come back. And battle banners on the battle map itself would also be good because it will make it easy. A bit more it will make it easy to identify which units are fighting which. Because yes, the user interface of, let's say, the current battlefield, sometimes it can overwhelm a little bit. So if battle banners are introduced, I think that would be really nice. I think that would be really great. I'd say this, the user interface is good. I just think it just needs more colorful elements and pretty much it will be looking good as new. Because I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking the fact that Ramesses can pretty much upgrade his abilities. Ramesses can become a stout leader. He can obviously during the course of the campaign map upgrade and get new historical armor that will make him look absolutely awesome in the battlefield. So as far as I'm concerned, the battles obviously look good. The battles obviously have the ridges. I'm liking the fact that the units do seem to respond. They do seem to form a sort of shield wall. I'm still not sure whether the shield wall formation is going to be there. I do want guard mode to come back, and I definitely want to see abilities. Rallying your troops. How is that going to make an impact within the battlefield? And while it showcased the 2 bodyguard units fighting each other, it seemed that Ramesses and the XYZ character were both going at it. It seemed that Ramesses and the XYZ character were both going at it. And while I'm liking this, I'm a little bit concerned that it might go back to the old 1v1 style combat. You obviously want to showcase the fact that with 2 generals, you have these unique units that are fighting alongside them. I do hope that if you're able to, let's say, upgrade Ramesses with unique armor, why don't we do the same with the unit bodyguards? Would that not be a good thing? Why don't we do the same with the unit bodyguards? Why don't we give them different weapons and different armor and maybe be able to paint it perhaps? I think that would be a really cool feature. So you could have these shining Egyptian warriors in golden armor protecting your pharaoh. I think that would definitely be a cool feature to add in. And I'm also liking the look of the series. I think this game is definitely built for making cinematic battles. Pharaoh is definitely having strong areas where it looks really good, where it makes you say, yes, this is it. This is what I want in Pharaoh. I still think if you add Mesopotamia, I'm still saying add Mesopotamia, it's just going to be awesome. That's all I'm going to say. And I really hope that the DLC will do that. Now, moving back to the battles, I'm liking the siege escalation, and this is the largest Total War campaign to date, according to, of course, what they've. And of course, this will be the largest campaign Total War map to date. So I hope that, yes, even if the cities are taken from Troy and they've been modified and changed or whatever, I really do hope that there's at least 20 to 30 unique city maps. There has to be. Because if it's such a large campaign map, there has to be unique city maps within different cultures. And that's what I want to see most. We've just seen the Egyptians. We've not seen the Hittites. We've not seen the Canaanites. We haven't seen that yet. And I really do hope that we see different unique styles within cities. So that not just one city is just the same as the other. Every city is unique. Every city has different things. Because I believe that within this campaign map, or this campaign game, or whatever you want to call it, basically the element of, let's say from 3K, any building that you build on a campaign map would come and showcase onto the city map. So I hope that this feature is, and I believe it is, in this game already. So anything that I build needs to obviously be shown within the city, and I would really like to see what it would showcase. The other aspect is, why not bring back civilians in this game? Where this game is going right now, I would definitely describe it Attila in the Bronze Age. That's what I would call this game. It's Attila in the Bronze Age. The other thing that I would also like to see is civilians combined with the siege escalation. I'm really loving the siege escalation mechanics that your city burns. I would definitely say, why not add a siege escalation factor or key or whatever it is. So basically, you can burn the city to the entire ground. However, you would definitely have a scale, so you could do it from minimal to really extreme, and that would be a really cool feature to see, and this would really help with creating cinematics. It really does help with that, and for me as a YouTuber. Anyway, moving on. So bring back civilians is one thing I would say, because Attila introduced them. So if a city is burning and the civilians are retreating and your soldiers are going through the city and stuff, it really adds into the immersiveness. So adding civilians is something that I would definitely want to see. I definitely want to see the difference between Egyptians and Phoenicians and Canaanites. This is the largest Total War campaign, but I want to see more differentiation. I want to see civilians in villages. I want to see civilians in cities. And I want to see them flee when soldiers are going and attacking X, Y, Z and Z. So I definitely want to see that. I do want to see more how do chariots enter cities. I definitely want to see more of that stuff. And I definitely want battles to be a little bit longer. I want battles to feel a bit more tactical. So I'm thinking that the battles are looking good. Just needs a bit more work in some areas perhaps. But otherwise, this is an alpha build, of course. I want to see what they will show in the final build. Because when it comes to the final build, I think the final build could surprise us. But who knows? And we need to be sure, of course, that this is a great product, because this is Pharaoh Total War, and I want Mesopotamia in it, but I'm liking Pharaoh Total War. I may be the only one that likes the setting, but and there are many YouTubers, of course, that like that setting, but this is a game that this is the era of the Bronze Age. I've read so many novels. I've read Wilbur Smith's novels. I've read so many novels and stories about ancient Egypt, right? And I really think that this is the game that will sort of help me with it in some form or fashion. So that's what it means to me. This game is personal for me, because it's like, yeah, now I can finally play ancient Egypt in the Bronze Age. But I really want Mesopotamia. Anyway, moving back, of course, to the campaign. I do like the fact that the diplomacy is working alright. It does definitely seem more Troy and Warhammer inspired. You do have bartering of resources, which is good. Keep it. The technology tree and the buildings could use different user color interfaces. I really do think that is something that needs to be implemented. I also do think that more political systems need to be added. More politics. I want to see more. Obviously you've seen the courts, but I want to see more. And of course, while this is early doing gameplay, I want to see more campaign. I want to see more. I want to see at least 2-3 hours of campaign gameplay. Just going from, let's say, the end game, not the end game, but let's go in from the early game to the end game, but just a bit edited, so it's around maybe 45 to 30. So it's edited around maybe to around. So it is edited around to perhaps 45 to 50 minutes. Show us more. Showcase the dilemma. Showcase the collapse of the Bronze Age world. I want to see more of it, because right now I think we've seen a lot of the gameplay, but we need to see more. I want to see what's the difference between playing the Canaanites and, let's say, the Egyptians. I want to see more on that. And of course, you have 8. You have 1. And what are the things that I want to see? I definitely want to see marriage and family tree coming in future updates. I really think this would add a lot of new elements within the gameplay, and it would definitely make sense because the Egyptians were marrying off to the Phoenicians and back and forth to the Hittites. So more elements from Attila's family tree and Attila's style of politics I think would be absolutely awesome to carry on and to bring it on into Pharaoh. I also want to see what type of conspiracies could happen. What will happen to, say, the Ramesses, that okay, he's been attacked left, right and center. But what about the political system? What about the other factions that could perhaps implement spies within this area? I'm also liking the elements, of course, of the River Nile, and you've got different effects, different seasons. You can also decide what to build, as in terms of forts or outposts or mining settlements. I'm liking these features. So I think there is a lot of degree, a lot of thought that's been done into the buildings. I would definitely applaud that. I do think that perhaps they could add the feature in Warhammer 3 where you can build different military buildings in different neighboring regions or nations. I really like that feature. I think that would really work. I would also like to see some sort of caravan feature. Now what would that caravan feature be? That caravan feature would be, for example, you could have singing bards and musicians, with merchant caravan companies represented on the campaign map. So they would basically be like those camels that were walking back and forth between cities in Rome too. And they basically spread fame for you for your army. They tell tales about your exploits to the locals, to far-flung nations, to all the way to the courts of your enemies, getting their admiration or something like that. If we develop this feature further, this will be similar to the caravan system in Warhammer 3, but you don't fight them, you can recruit them in your army, and they can keep public order within your army under control. They can boost morale, and they can have a, let's say, rating system from 1 to 5. The first caravans will give you, let's say, a bit of a boost, bit of a morale, but that's about it. But you have to spend money for better caravans, better merchants, better singing bards that will spread your flame and exploits. That will spread your fame and exploits. But if you sack cities, if you do this or whatever, then they will spread bad things about you, and then you would want to get rid of them either way. So what I also want to see on the campaign map is that the video mentioned that this is an era of bustling trade. So why don't we have ships, like physical tiny ships like you had in Rome 2, going from city to city to represent these trade routes? So I would definitely like to see this implemented within the campaign map. So we can see, merchant caravans or peasants or anything like that. In 3K you also had, peasants going from one end to the other. So I would like to see more miniature style, let's say, caravans, agents, spies, whatever you want to call it, walking from city to city. I really would like to see that type of thing. So let's see what happens with that. And I want to know this. Does the campaign map have a system where it is similar to Hector and Troy, where they had to fight for Priam's favor in order to, become the overall ruler of Troy? So, it would be cool to have a political ranking system where Ramesses has to go to the highest. He has to get the old pharaoh's, let's say, blessing or whatever. And everything that Ramesses does, it will be judged. Ramesses has to gain influence within the Egyptian court. So I want to see what he'll be able to do. And I would also say, expand the role of the Medjay, because they were also more than just the Pharaoh's bodyguards. They were spies, they were agents, they were guards, to, let's say, pyramids or whatever. And they were the most elite force of ancient Egypt. They were basically the Praetorian Guard in one way. Now you could say that could be the Sheridan Guard, but I'm not too sure. But, they could go to the nations, they could cause riots and rebellions. And if Ramesses does really, really well, we could give him, let's say, weapons or missions or gold or resources, something like that. I want to see if agents are making a return, and could spies go into different towns? Could they implement local established networks? Could they also rise up in different enemy courts? Could they also become influential? Could they turn the tide during a battlefield while serving on your side or not? So there are many areas where you could do this. And in Rome too, of course, you had the ability as a spy or diplomat, you could bribe the enemy agent or spy. I would like to see this expanded. So say there's an ambitious Hittite general who's been cast out of court, wanting power, and he comes to you. And you recruit him into your service, he serves under you, and you send him back to the Hittite court disguised as a scribe, or maybe let him serve under your army. Perhaps you could order this double agent to assassinate the Hittite king, or get mercenaries and spies from other nations to do the job. The ability to bribe generals, armies, spies, or priests is going to be something that I would really love to see. You could establish a local spy network with your allies, or, for example, by signing a spy network alliance. This would then lower the suspicion. But it won't do much unless you fight with them and become sworn allies, sharing all information, able to build military buildings in their location. Or if you don't help them and keep spying on them, they will become suspicious and you will get less information and they will be hostile. So stuff like this is what I want to see. I want to see more of what the political system, more of ranking, etc. And I'm sure there's already a bunch of features that of course hasn't been showcased yet, but will be showcased within the final build. So I want to see more. I want to see more features expanded. I'm really liking it. It's a great video to get in-depth information about what's coming. And this is just my thoughts. And yeah, so don't forget to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.